sure?
Sure.
You sure?
Sure.
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 Yeah, man, you sure?
Yes, I am sure. Look at this thing. It's presidential.
What if we get caught, man?
Nobody gets caught in South Africa, man.
That's true.
Now lift. I'm sure.
Don't just be sure. Be sure. King Price Insure. Insurance you can be sure about. Visit kingprice.co.za.
My wife Renee, myself and our 2 children lived in Cape Town for 20 years, during which time I made 5 feature films and worked on a few other films and documentaries. But life took an unexpected turn. The illness of my father brought me back to my roots in the Free State, where I witnessed the struggles of small towns firsthand. Then came October 16, 2020.
Racial tensions in the Free State town of Senekal are expected to continue this week. EFF members are expected to descend on the town's magistrates' court to attend the bail hearing of the 2 men accused of murdering 21-year-old farm manager Brendan Horner.
The thing that took people is that it was a young life that was lost.
To bring people who are, what they call, or necessarily they are enemies, in one room, but they walk out of that room being friends.
A turning point. 2 months later, I moved to Senekal, ready for a new chapter. I saw potential in this region, the Eastern Free State, with its breathtaking scenery and incredible people. But I also saw challenges: poverty, unemployment, and a sense of despair. However, many of us from towns all over South Africa are taking hands because we believe together we can make our country great.
You can't complain if you're not helping. I like complaining quite a lot, so I like to help.
So you've got to stop the outflow of feet out of your town. You've got to bring back the old inflow of feet, and then you've got to create a new inflow of feet.
To establish a healthy platform from where local economic growth can take place.
The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The next best time is now. Let's all get on with it.
We've started revitalizing Senekal and have done some pretty amazing things, but we still have many challenges. We're under such pressures, and I have to upload so many things, download so many things, and just got a message that the whole town's internet have gone down. Like the whole Senekal's town's internet is down. With the help of one of my Senekal friends, we bought half of the old Sasco mill. This property stood here abandoned for about 25 years until we bought it 2 years ago, and want to convert it into a world-class film studio so that we can produce major drama series and feature films. In the meantime, we renovated some of the buildings and have hosted many very enjoyable live events.
Thank you for building a film studio here in Senekal.
We showed all the Rugby World Cup matches on a big screen in our tin shed theatre, where we have our own sound and stage, and it can seat up to 200 people. Join our merry band of friends as we take you to some of the lesser known but amazing destinations.
I feel more comfortable here on the right. Are you confident?
Nicole doesn't have a bad side.
You know where the name Clarence comes from?
No, please educate.
You are going to love
sound
this.
like a local.
And we do not hold back as we discuss the tough issues facing our nation.
One thing the government made a mistake from both sides. They never prepared us for change. We were taught to hate someone, and now we must be taught and taught to love each other.
What is our 100-year plan? What is the master plan for this nation?
Join us as we work together to build a brighter future for South Africa, one community at a time. Okay, before we go any further, let me start with a few excuses. You will notice in this episode that the sound quality is all over the place and the color grading is terrible. That is because even though I still want to convert all of this into a world-class film studio with a world-class film crew, there's no film crew in Senekal yet, and this still needs to be converted into a film studio. And I pretty much did everything myself, filming myself with my iPhone, my Sony camera, or my drone. Enough of the excuses. Let's start at the beginning of this story. Renee, our daughter Marie, and our son Evie and myself lived in the beautiful city of Cape Town for just over 20 years. And it's a fantastic city to live in, top tourist destination. But round about that same time, I wrote a screenplay called Telemarcus, which is a true story of the last gladiator fight in the Colosseum. And I started thinking, this is a big budget movie. Instead of making that movie in Cape Town where everybody else spends a lot of money on making films, if I could take that movie and make it in a small town, spending that budget could have a significant impact on the economic growth of that town. And I started dreaming a little bit further and thought, what about starting a film industry there instead of just making the movie that could even further enhance the economic growth of the area? I also read from the book of Nehemiah, and I wrote down 53 lessons of how Nehemiah actually rebuilt the walls of Jerusalem. And round about that same time, my father contracted terminal cancer, and him and my mum still lived in Bloemfontein, in the city where I grew up and went to school, went to university, and I had to visit him often. And while visiting Bloemfontein a few times, I realized how absolutely broken the whole Free State had become as province. The towns were dilapidated. Bloemfontein as a city looked like one huge rubbish dump. And there's no real diplomatic way of saying it. I think the provincial government of that time had really annihilated the province and Bloemfontein. And at around about the same time, a young farm manager called Brendan Horner was brutally murdered near Senekal. And then the 16th of October 2020 happened, and that touched so many hearts around the country, and it changed my life forever.
The 16th of October was just a combination of a bunch of factors that just came together. The farming community in the Senekal area was heavily impacted by stock theft. Then the Brendan Horner murder took place. The thing that took people is that it was a young life that was lost.
Is certainly a knife's edge. It looks to be boiling over.
For a moment, it seemed like small-scale civil war was imminent. However, a wave of prayer swept across the nation, and God answered.
And the direct answer to prayer so often are people who respond to a call. And in this instance, the response came from Pastor John Matutle, who got so much admiration for you, John. What was it like on that day? What did you feel you had to do to try and get the breach between the farmers and the EFF, or between black and white at that time?
I think the first time when myself and my wife, we decided to join the march, the Solidarity March, for the farmers. By the way, I was born on the farm, I grew up on the farm, so I've always had a heart for the farming community. And we felt that we wanted to be part of that. But unfortunately, as you know, what happened on the 6th of October, the emotions were very high, and some of the people that were there, the farmers, things got out of hand. And I remember walking back home, and I was so disappointed, and I said, God, what is this? What can one do? And the first thing that happened, as you correctly said, I felt that I needed to pray about the situation. And that's when I was in prayer at the copy, and the Lord said, bring the leaders together. And that's where the whole thing now started. And I started calling basically all the community leaders, like your political leaders, the religious leaders.
Black and white.
Black and white, yes. Black and white, Freedom Front, DA, ANC, and also EFF was there. And we had a wonderful meeting. I remember, I will never forget that meeting. I think for me, that was the greatest highlight. To bring what people who are, what they call, or necessarily they are enemies in one room, but they walk out of that room being friends. And I mean, even that day, new friends were forged. And then what followed after that, it was the braai that actually brought in the more strategy on how can we work together, how we can revitalize our town.
I decided to drive to Senekal to find out what the town is like and if I should possibly get involved there. And as it was a few kilometers before driving into town, I called my good friend Tox van der Linde. I played rugby with him, and Tox was the only guy that I knew that came from Senekal. And I called him and I said, Tox, who should I speak to? I don't know anyone in Senekal. He said, call Wimpy Houflisch. He's the owner of, or the co-owner of Oranje Print and Package, one of the biggest printing companies in South Africa, an amazing company right here in Senekal. And I drove to Wimpy, met him, became immediate friends. But something funny happened. As I drove into town, I just burst out crying. It was before the rainy season started, so it wasn't green. It was very broken. Pretty much every pavement looked terrible. You could see there was a lot of dirt lying around. But as I was looking at the town, I saw everything working. I saw everything fixed. I saw everything mended. And I just knew I had to be in Senekal. And 2 months later, I moved here. And I got involved in the Senekal Matuabeng Community Forum. And we based the work that we did in those first few months on the broken window theory, something that the mayor of New York, Giuliani, used to transform New York from being run by the mafia to an amazing city.
The broken window theory is a well-known theory. Started in New York. And I think the basic premises is that if something is broken today, don't fix it. Something else additional will be broken the next day, and so crime will just get a foothold and will escalate. So by attending to the small things, you can make a big difference. And on that premises, we use the South Africa Day concept of CRPP, clean, repair, paint and plant. That is the cheapest and the easiest way to do things.
Today we cleaned the entrances of Senekal N5 from Bethlehem side and also from Bloemfontein side. And we also have guys painting the stop signs and filling up potholes and doing the gardening.
Ek dink wat Senekal gedoen het vandag is bitter nodig vir die toekoms. Senekal is deur 'n moeilike tyd laas jaar gewees en is tyd dat ons dorp weer optel. En as ons nie saam met Sitsots om munisipaliteit hande vat nie, dan sal hierdie hele projek nie werk nie.
I think the most amazing thing of it all is that it was people from all over town. It wasn't only a certain group. Normally if you have a get-together or something, it's a certain group of people or a group of friends that come. We literally had people from all age groups, all races coming together because it's just realizing it's our town. Nobody else is going to do anything for us. We need to do it. We need to take ownership of our own town. And everybody just literally took hands, started cleaning up and became friends.
In future episodes, From Dust to Dreams will mainly focus on the plans, challenges and progress in building New Road Studio here in Senekal. When you go to our main channel, you'll see that there are various different programs or playlists. In Rural Makeover, we'll join our town makeover mentor, Andre van Pletsen from Kroonstad, as we show you how towns from all over South Africa are taking hands to make their communities better. And if you want your town to be part of this, please contact us. In African Splendor and Travel, you can join Nicole Kappa and Jornay van Heestian as we show you some amazing destinations. In the first episode, we take you to the Jewel of the Free State, Clarence, as well as the Amalinda Safari Collection in Zimbabwe. Remember to subscribe and click notifications on our channel, follow our social media pages and support our generous sponsors. Until next time, Sala Hantle, tot ziens and goodbye.